Yo, yo, yo. What up, Raider Nation? Welcome to another episode of the Raider Ragu Show. Please like, share, comment, subscribe on YouTube. Please put it on auto download on your wherever you get your podcasts. And let's not forget our sponsor, shebangboutique.com. That's SHWBangBoutique.com. Go over there and get your girl something fly and unique. Thanks for doing that. Good looking. All right, Raider Nation. Raiders lose one at home to Denver. And when I say at home, that's only because it was in Las Vegas. The crowd was Denver. It was oranged out in there. The cheering, the chanting, all of that was pro Denver. It's pathetic. It's terrible. The predicament that the Raiders find themselves in, as far as their home field. But first and foremost, what jumped off the page, off the screen, Raiders could not stop the run against the Donkeys. The flat was wide open against the Donkeys. So for the first drive, that's all they did was ran the football, threw the football down into the flat on the Raiders to the tune of an 8-minute drive. Took the starts right out of the defense early in the game, 7-0. Now, Raiders come right back, scripted plays or what have you. But what we not going to do is sit up here and say that the O-line wasn't blocking. The O-line was blocking, bro. The reason why the Raiders lost this game was not because of the offensive line. Let me say that again. The Raiders lost to the Broncos this past Sunday. What was it? 12-7, 25. Because the D-line was trash. Denver ran whenever they wanted to. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 yards a pop. You don't believe me? Go watch the game. The Raiders aren't going to be anything if they don't have something that they can build upon, something that they can say, hey, okay, this is what we're good at. And right now, the Raiders have nothing. The defense yesterday was terrible. It was terrible against the run and the check down into the flats. So I don't know if it's coaching. It could be that we just don't have the talent. It could be that guys didn't checked out. Low football IQ by the players, meaning their awareness is low as hell. Or it could be a combination of all of that, man. But the run was too easy, and the little check downs into the flats was too easy. And when I say check downs, you checking down, but you're getting 7, 8, 9, 10 yards every time. But what we're not going to do is sit here and blame the O-line, especially that first drive. They come right back 7-7. Caleb Rogers started, was, happy to see that, man. Caleb started and was holding his own. Nobody had any isolations or bad things to say about him blocking, right? They didn't have any. There was no Caleb, set the world on fire type stuff, but they wasn't talking about him either. So when they don't talk about the O-line, that's a good thing, right? So he was doing his job. Caleb did his thing. Good to see the young fella out there. Also, shout out to Blue Kelly. Looks like he had a pretty serious knee injury, man. So I might not have, agree with him being out there all the time or starting, but I didn't want the guy to get hurt. He's a cool young man, a Raider. So speedy recovery to him. I hope it wasn't too bad. But once Kelly got hurt, Darian Porter was out there competing, man. Did he play a perfect game? No. But that's what it's about right now. Reps, and more reps. And as he gets pro reps, he's going to be better. He's going to end up being a Pro Bowl type cornerback. I truly believe that about Darian Porter. Once he gets a little bit more comfortable in the pro game. So shout out to Darian Porter, man. He was out there competing. So as I was watching the game, what I will say about the offense, because the defense didn't play complimentary football this time around. It was the defense that didn't play complimentary football. They gave up too many long drives, and then we had the lapse on special teams with the poor tackling led to the punt return touchdown. Right? So we had a letdown on special teams, letdown on defense, and then what I'm about to describe is be described as a letdown on offense. But to me, the offense was less of the problem this week than was the defense and special teams on the real. So Eugene Cyril Smith. Cyril is slow to read defenses. Then he has a slow kind of wind-up release. And then the O-line is not the best. And then Denver has the best. They have the most sacks in football. That is a recipe for disaster. I'll tell you that right now, man. It's a recipe for disaster. Eugene has to read it faster. Eugene has to release it faster. So those two factors right there, that's getting Geno sacked more than he should be getting sacked. I'm not saying the O-line is good, and I'm not making excuses for them. But Geno is slow to read what's going on out there, and then he has this kind of like wind-up type of release thing that he does, and it leads to sacks, pressures, hurries, incompletes, bad throws. This is what I observed. He's slow to read it, and then he's got that slow release. I was watching Houston play the Chiefs, the Sunday night game. C.J. Stroud has that flick of the wrist release, bro, and he can chunk it 25 yards like that. Just a quick bam. As soon as he's before the break, he's got such a quick release, man. And that's what you got to have in the league, bro. You can't be winding up. Shit is going too fast out there, especially you got a porous O-line and you slow to read. You can't be slow to read and slow to release. All right? You could have quick read, slow release, and maybe get something done. Or you could have slow read, quick release, and maybe get something done. I mean, quick read, slower release. Or whatever I said. You know what I'm saying? You can't have both. You can't have a slow read and a slow release. You're going to be getting sacked. You're going to be throwing picks. You're going to be getting hurried. You're going to be throwing bad balls. And that's Eugene Cyril Smith. He got hurt, so it might be time for him to just call it give him his $18 million for next year, bro, and let's just work with what we got without him. The project failed. I don't know if Pete is going to be able to keep his job, but Cyril definitely shouldn't be able to keep his. And a lot of it was on the O-line, man. But for the reasons I just said, along with the receivers getting locked up sometimes. That's another thing that people aren't taking into consideration after you traded Jacoby Myers away, as if we had a bunch of receivers that people were scared of, right? We do not. So a lot of times those receivers are locked up. And Geno's looking when he should have got rid of it or ran. And then he gets sacked and we blame it on the O-line. Or Geno's slow to read that it ain't going to work and gets sacked and we blame the O-line. Or Geno is slow to read it, finally sees something and is trying to release it and gets sacked and we blame the O-line. So, no, the O-line is not good. But I looked at Eugene and that slow release and them slow reads. I really took note of that in this Denver game. So the running backs in the flat killed the Raiders all day long. So I don't know if that's coaching or players. I'm going to have to give a little bit of both because as a coach, you should be able to see it. and have some remedy for it. And as a player, you out there, so you see what's happening. So, maybe you take it upon yourself to stay closer to the flat or something. Or if you're a defensive end, maybe you fake your rush and then you fade out into the flat a couple times just because you have the awareness of what's actually going on and what's beating you. But we didn't see any of that. And they went on to just run the football and throw the ball in the flat all day long. The Raiders can't stop the run right now, and they can't run. When you always said in the NFL, you might not win a Super Bowl, but if you can run and stop the run, you're going to be a competitive football team. I'll stand by that. The Raiders are the opposite. They can't run and can't stop the run. And that's why they're 2-10. And let's be honest, they're lucky to be 2-10. They're lucky to be 2-10. If we play New England now, they probably put tips on us. And then we beat a Tennessee team that's, just won their third game by beating Cleveland, who had only won 3 games. Who beat us, by the way. Yeah, the Raiders are lucky to have won 2 games. They are not – I don't see them winning any more games. I could be wrong. Maybe Kenny Pickett is going to get in there and electrify the crowd, and the Raiders are going to be a whole different monster in these last 4 ball games, right? 4. They 2-11 last 4 ball games. So the play action for Denver start working as well. So they were able to chunk it a little bit downfield. That's because the run was so successful, right? So look at that. When you can't stop the run, you can't get off the field. When you can't stop the run, play action works. And then when you can't run, you're getting three and outs to where you're going back out there trying to stop the run again, which you cannot. And it snowballs. And it's just bad football, which Pete Carroll promised we weren't going to see. He was talking about this competing and winning a bunch of games. And I just don't think he's got it, man. The Raiders are lucky to have won 2 games. Anybody still caping for Carroll? Come on, man. And I know you can't just keep changing coaches. But, man, we got to change coaches. It looked like Max hurt his shoulder too, man, on that last play. So that's something that we're going to have to look out for him on the injury report with his shoulder. If he is, then Max might miss the next game or 2. And I know, that's, very un-Max-like to miss games, but Max might, what are we playing for, bro? No need for him to further injure himself. And if he needs a little minor procedure or something, he might as well go on and do it, bro. There's only 4 more games. Raiders aren't going to win. I'm sure he probably wants another sack or 2. But look out for that with Max on his shoulder. I'll say let's go with Pickett, man. What do we have to lose? Pickett came in there, and I know the Broncos had kind of relaxed. It was extended garbage time. I understand that. But Pickett came in there slinging that rock, man. He was getting rid of it fast, too. He was getting rid of that thing. He showed a little bit of mobility. And low-key made it look easy real quick, man. Even though it was garbage time, he still made it look easy. So maybe in regular time, he can make it look a little competitive, man. Let the dude play, man. Let's see what he got. Look like he can release it a little faster than Cyril. And hopefully he's not slow to read, man. And we'll see what we got. He gave up a 5th-round pick. Might as well see what he can do. So be on the lookout for the shoulder injury for Max, and that's 7 straight losses for the Raiders from a 7-game losing streak. Raider Rat Group, man, I ain't going to hold y'all, man. Just win, baby. Peace.